Welcome back to the channel. Yes, I love it. So this is the 5th installment of the How to Trade Better series, compilation, whatever you want to call it. So we've covered everything from how to grow a small account, how to survive in a bear market, what to look for as far as news runners, looking at level 2, we've covered so many different topics, but today we are going to talk about charts. So as you can see, the one in front of me, this is something I would use on TOS. I reset a lot of it just to kind of show you, this is something I would use if I'm trading during the day. So, if I'm sitting in front of the computer and I'm going to trade, the 920 EMA, I'm looking for volume, a news runner, right in front of me, I have box D. It's been a very active one throughout. So there's different things you can put into that, but, we're actually not going to talk about day trading today. So that's going to be in my charts number 2. So today we're going to talk about penny stocks, swinging, and we're going to go over charts so you can kind of see where things are going, what they're happening. So it's going to be exciting stuff. I'm sure you're going to learn something. When we've done the spaces recently, a lot of people are like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand it. What do you mean the 8? What do you mean the 21-day moving average? Like, can you show me? And yes, we certainly can. So without further ado, that is what we're going to cover today. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, shoot me a comment, if you have any questions afterwards. But, let's hop right in. Okay, so earlier in the video, I had pointed out, I like to use Thinkorswim, especially trading throughout the day. So if I'm trading small caps, especially in the morning for news runners, whatever hits, at 7 a.m., that's what I'm front of before OTC markets open, before big boards start hitting, before, we're going to play options and so forth. So the thing that I really like to use is stockcharts.com. It's basically what I learned off of. I think it's very user-friendly. It has, a good guide for opening and, as far as using their tools. So I'm going to go through step by step so I can show you how you can use it. We've covered it on OTC spaces, and a lot of people are like, hey, I get it. You keep talking about 821 MA, you're talking about 50, 200, but what does it mean? It's provocative. How do I use it? The RSI, how do I know if it's oversold? How do I know if it's, basically if it's going to die? So, we're going to go through a few different charts today. And I might do this weekly, just shoot out a video. People say, hey, can you check this out for me? Can you check this out? But remember, OTC is more retail driven. So if your stock does not have news coming, it's probably going to die, and it's just going to lose volume, and it's going to sit right down, and it's going to rest, right on support where, it may find itself. So we're going to kind of look through a few, and we're going to start off with GEGI. But first, I'm going to show you, hey, go to stockcharts.com, and we're going to go through this together. So if you want to pull it up while the video is happening, you can put up your favorite stock in there, the stocks that you're holding, and you kind of look through it yourself and say, oh, look at that, look at that. So, looking at GEGI, right now, the 50 and 200 MA are pulled up, which as you can see here, the 50, it looks like it wants to cross, which, we would call that a golden cross, when the lower moving average basically ascends and, crosses into the higher. So it's a good bullish sign. It shows that the stock is on an uptrend. But, right now it seems a little undecided because look, so, it channeled for a while, and then it had boom, big spikes, of volume, but it's tapered off. So, just looking at the chart, because volume has tapered off some, there's a chance it might fill this gap. So, because there's a gap and it is close to where it is currently, it closed at 0027, the gap is anywhere, let's say 0018, 0019, it could have a red day and just bounce and wick below that and, push up. But, maybe it won't. Maybe the company won't have news and it'll just fly to 01. But looking at a technical standpoint, because volume is died off, because, it's had a few red days, there's a good chance that it may fill that. So definitely keep an eye on that. But when we come down here, so you can do period, you can do daily, weekly. So I like to use daily, fill the chart. And you can do candlesticks. You can even do Heikin-Ashi. And then, you can go change your colors and, do it any way you want. but as you see, simple moving average 50, simple moving average 200, and then none. So you can go through down here, and let's do simple moving average. Let's do 18, and let's do 21. So once we update that, you can see that they're kind of, let's see, 1920 right here is going to be the first line of support. So, right between the gap and where support is and so forth is where, that stock is going to be. So if I wasn't already in, that's a good place to add. The company said they have news coming. They do need to get pink current and so forth, but we're not going to talk specifically about the company today. We're just going to go through and look at the chart. So, as you can see the MACD graph, it looks like it wants to nose down. And we're going to go to indicator. So your RSI right here is going to be at the top. So as you can see, it was in the overbought range, hitting 90s. Now it's tended to cool off. I like to call this the power zone, anywhere between 50 and 70. It means it's being actively traded, volume's still good, and directional could go either way. And then the MACD, we're going to come down here. It's had tons of volume, but it looks somewhat bearish, because volume has died off. And then, I like to go to accumulation, distribution. And accumulation looks pretty good, as far as the daily. And then, so if we pull up the weekly, it looks a little bit different. So, at that, basically it's tapered off, and, it is what it is. But, we'll cover a few different stocks. And then let's go put that back on the daily. There we go. So, basically that's that one. Let's look at DVLP. So this is another one I pull up just to show you guys. So, it did have some dilution, but, as you can see, just pulling up here, had news, big news coming, overbought. And then, as you can see, it tapered down now. This could be dilution, which I believe they did show. It could be shareholders exiting, could be, a lot of different factors. But when you see the accumulation start to nose down and just hit rock bottom, more often than not, it's either conversions, it's dilution, or it's just people aren't holding. But to see it taper down that hard within a month, usually dilution. But then company will tweet, and then as you can see, it powers through right here, and then 003, and then you can see the cross. So this is actually getting ready to cross here around 003. So if they have news coming, same thing, it might form a wedge. Looking at this, RSI still in the power zone. So same thing, you can pull up your own stock, whatever you want, put it in there, and then kind of play with this a little bit. So you can see 821, let's say, hey, where is the 50 and 200 on this one? Okay, so 50 and 200 are 0038, 0045. So you can see both times recently it wicked past, those, but these are ultimately going to be, new resistances from where the stock used to have a moving average. But you can see they didn't close above that. So more than likely, it's not going to, power through that unless it has news. And then, if you look down here at the 50, let's see, it did close, but then, couldn't hold it. Volume just tapered off. You see it only had one volume spike. And I like to call that a tester candle. So especially when you're playing small caps, if you see just one huge volume bar just shoot straight up, and there's no news, that's usually somebody trying to test it to get a run going. So keep an eye on that. So I like to see consistent volume like this. Even if you have a red day, nice volume blocks that'll actually push it up. And then you can see volume die, so stock's going to die itself. And then let's pull up another one. So this is ILST. This is actually a really good example. So this stock, the merger's been taking forever, and it's just been dying off. Little spikes here and there, and then as you can see, this big huge candle. So when we talk about resistance, as you can see, the 50 MA, which is green, tapers down here, it literally went up and kissed it at 0059, but it didn't have enough gas to power through. So that is the current resistance in that standpoint. And when we talk about we'll go through, the charts as in 2, 3, and so forth, because I'm going to do a few of these, but I just wanted to get the basic guide out so you could put your own in, and you could come down here and say, oh, 821.50, let's see where the 200 is. Okay, so you can see the 200 is all the way up at 0091 for ILST. So If it can get through and close through 0059, it can work its way up to 0091 without any problems. But it has to get over this. I like to see 1 to 2 closes. Volume has to be good. Just one close over that. If there's no volume the next couple of days, it's going to die off. And that's just how penny stocks are. They have interest, and then people lose interest, the stock dies. It's simple. So play the Momo, play the FOMO. But same thing, RSI in the power zone and so forth. So let's cover another one. So this is INTK. So this is what we call a death cross. So a golden cross is when, it'd be swinging up and it crosses in a bullish pattern. A death cross is when, the longest moving average starts to trend down and the stock is just extremely bearish. So you can see it's just tapered all the way down. Accumulations, rock bottom. There's just no real volume going into it anymore. Let's see, let's pull this up. So we got accumulation distribution. Okay, so now we have the 50 and the 200 on here. And as you can see, they're way up here in the almost near 02. So let's go through and pull 8. Let's do 21. And let's do 13. Okay. So, and perfect example. So I like to look 821, then 13, 50, 200. So if it's something I'm going to be swinging for a week or 2 weeks, I always do 8, 21, 13, and then 50. There's no real reason to look at the 200 unless it's a stock that's climbing. And, you're looking, okay, we got a few resistances to go through, but, as you can see, it's all the way up here. Now, as you can see, 0125 is literally, where it was prior to being sold off. I'm not sure why it was sold off. I think they announced something today and people weren't happy about it. But as you can see, the RSI here is completely oversold. So this thing is way down in the 28s. So it should bounce soon. But, if this is some sort of conversion for debt that they had, it's possible it could taper down a little bit more. But, the fact it closed under a penny, I think a lot of people will be gobbling this one up. But like I said, we're not going to talk about the stock, whether we're bearish or bullish. We're literally just looking at the chart. As you can see, it had tons of momentum through the MACD, and now the volume is just dying off. Accumulation has just completely died off, and the stock is bearish. It is what it is. So let's pull up another one. Let's go through. Let's do TGGI. All right, so looking at TGGI, and let's go ahead and put in, so we have 50, 200. Let's see, the 200 is all the way up at 014. So let's just stick with 8. We'll do 21, 50. All right, so this is a good looking chart. So I'm not too sure what was happening with this one, but I know, it was selling off and accumulation actually looks pretty good, but it went down to 008. As you can see, it just completely took the elevator down or escalator down, and had a nice candle today. It powered through the first, let's see, what is the 8 MA, and it pushed through the 21 MA. So more than likely, this is going to work its way back up to the 50 MA, which is 012. But it's probably going to have a good amount of resistance there. So anytime you have a 50 or 200 MA, there's a good amount of resistance. So you always have smaller resistances leading up, especially with moving averages. But, this is looking pretty good. So remember, it even has a MACD cross right here too. So I'll have to look more into this, but it looks pretty good. But same thing, if it can't hold this range, then your next line of support is going to be around 009. If it falls 009, it will probably head back into the 8s, the 7s. But, more than likely, if I were going to add a stock like this, I might say, hey, let's see a couple closes above a penny. But if not, I'm going to sit in the 90s. And I'll put a bid at, say, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. Just small to see what I can collect. Because that's what it is. It's about, accumulating. All right. So let's talk about another one. Let's talk about HIRU, HIRU. So as you can see here, the 200 MA is all the way up at 0065, but the 50 MA is 0036. So the 50 MA is going to act as new support more or less. And then so let's clear this out. 18, 21. Sorry, I'm singing to myself. Accumulation. All right, so as you can see here, this thing's been climbing off bottom. I mean, it's just ascending. It looks great. So, you know, as you can see, we talked about the golden cross. Hold on, it didn't fill. I actually put in 21. There we go. So as you can see, they're both moving up with it. So, I mean, this is getting extremely bullish. You know, as we walk 0032, it's basically being walked up. You know, with these candles, we have a few dojis down here. So if you're looking to add, as you can see, these wicks, you could probably catch some around 0038, 0039. And, you know, when you see wicks like that, especially below support, those are my favorite because those are the ones where you can catch dumps. And what that means is sometimes if there's a big spread, you know, whether it's 5 ticks, somebody decides I want out and they just sell it and it just goes boop, and it'll quickly wick below that. But, you know, buyers will step in because it's a good stock or, you know, it's an active management. I mean, whether it may be, and they'll actually go through and they'll buy that up, and then you just got a good deal. So, you know, especially if you see a lot of wicks like this, I like to go through and, you know, stick bids in below. But, you know, basically these are working their way up, 0036. So this should still consolidate. You know, I'd say because volume has tapered off here, as you can see, when it had big volume, it decided to move up. But now it'll probably channel for a little bit between 38 and 42. They do have big news coming, so it should, remember as we talked about the 200 MA, start to push forward. So let's put that back in. So that's all the way up here, 0065. So if this thing gets enough volume, good news, that's going to be its next stop. You're going to see a big candle all the way up. So that'll definitely be exciting. But, you know, we'll see RSIs in the power zone. Let's go ahead and pull up another one. Let's try, what's another one to talk about that everybody's been, let's just do CYBL. All right, so CYBL, volume, it always has decent volume. It has tapered off, has a lot of red days. So, I mean, they get news, you know, then it tends to taper down. But as you can see here, this looks like double bottom. So when we draw a line straight through 012, that tends to be where it's holding. And you can see there's a couple wicks below. So if you're looking to add, always stick some good to close bids in if this is a stock you want. But as you can see, you know, with as far as the moving averages, 18, 21 are both sitting at 013. So that's acting almost as hard resistance right now. So if that can be pushed through, then, you know, it'll definitely move a lot higher. But let's go ahead and kill this. So 016 is going to be the 50 MA. So now if they have good news and it powers through 013 or closes, you know, that's going to be the next line for 016. But right now it's pretty much just tapered off and it's consolidating right around 012. So, you know, if I was going to add, I'd say probably it's a safe place to add, at least start accumulating. 0115 would be good because of these wicks that have happened. But just drawing this, it looks almost like, you know, double, triple bottom, you know, and since March. So, you know, good ads, you know, if they have news coming and so forth. So that's what you want to look for. If your stock has news coming, look at where it is on the chart. Look at your MAs, you know, whether it's 8, 13, 21, 50, and look at what it needs to get to for that next line, what it needs to close over, you know, how's the volume, you know, so you can keep an eye on the volume every day, the accumulation. So accumulation is a little rocky, but it's still pretty good. You know, when you see stocks with accumulation that are just complete crap, you know, it's going to die off. You know, that's just basically how it is. So let's do one more. Let's try ENZC. I haven't looked at this one in a long time. So ENZC and Zylytics, everybody likes this stock. This is nice. I mean, if you kind of look out, you know, you can see it almost has a wedge here. But it actually closed 067 above the 50, and it's closed both over the 21 and the 8. So this actually looks pretty good. So if they have news coming, you know, a safe spot to add would be anything really above 06. So this is definitely channeling up here. But yeah, I mean, this looks pretty good. You know, no qualms about it. You know, it just needs a little bit more volume. Accumulation's meh. But yeah, so just wanted to cover that. You know, as we talk about, you know, the moving averages, you know, we use 8, 21, 13, 50, 200, and then, you know, you can go through, you can change your colors on your chart, you can do a zoom, you know, accumulation, MACD, RSI. So, you know, RSI between 50 and 70 in the power zone, you know, usually around 30, it's going to be completely just, you know, oversold, where, you know, usually those are where stocks are just going to sit and stay until they get news. And that's when you'll see the accumulation start to go up. You'll see MACD start to, curl up and so forth. So those are all indicators to keep an eye on. So we'll go more in depth into, day trading. And then, we'll talk about more resistant points. We'll talk about PSAR and all of that. But I just wanted to get you guys a basic how-to guide. Stockcharts.com is very user-friendly. If you want to sign up for their thing, you can get their login. And there's a lot more you can do. But yeah, so if you have any questions, like I said, drop them down in the comments, like the video, and I'll catch you guys next time.